Hello, and this is our guide on how to make a chessboard without a ruler. Now, if you do have a ruler, this is actually a lot easier. All you'd need to do, this is about 21 centimeters across. Now we know there's 8 squares at the top of the board, so I would do 21 divided by 8, which works out at around 2.6. And all I would need to do then is get my ruler, and I would measure every 2.6 centimeters, draw lines across the top every 2.6 centimeters, and do the same along here, 2.6 centimeters, making sure you've got 8 squares. And then you'll be left with a piece of paper that looks a bit like this when you draw the lines together. And then with that bit at the bottom, I'm just going to cut that off, and there you go, I've actually got my chessboard. So you can see with a ruler, just measuring, making sure that each of those is about 2.6 centimeters, then simple. But this is how to make a chessboard without a ruler. So I'm going to need my trusty piece of A4 paper, and here it is. First thing I need to do is make a square. How am I going to make a square? Well, I can use right angle triangles to help me make a square. So this is what I'm going to do. First of all, I'm going to make myself a right angle triangle. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to line the top of this up as closely as I can, making sure not to rush and trying to get it as straight as possible along that line. Now take your time with this because it really will make a difference. Once I've got it, just to tap down that line. Now don't make it go don't be running your finger along it because we don't really want that line. It's just to help us to make this first square. Now, I should have a piece of paper that looks like this. This line is absolutely perpendicular to that line. It is totally straight. Okay, that is a right angle there. And what I'm going to need to do now is to fold this top part, and I'm going to fold it in such a way that it is exactly straight across the line. Okay, now take some time to make this as accurate and straight as possible, okay, because what we need is for that fold to be exactly along the line, and when I fold it over, I'm going to check that it is exactly lined up. Yes, it is. Take your time, do not rush. If you want to see this bit again, rewind it. So all I've done is I've folded that so it is again directly in line with that triangle. Okay, now this is the bit where it turns into a square. You'll see that at the top, these two triangles actually make a square. A square obviously having all sides of equal length. So we need to get rid of that bottom. Now, you might not have scissors in your house, which is absolutely fine. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure that this line is really straight. I'm going to run my nails along it. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to fold it over, and then I'm going to run my nails along it. Now what it might help is to have a little bit of water, dab your finger in, and you're just going to run that little bit of moisture from the bit of water along, and there we go. Okay, the reason for that is we're going to make that little line a bit weaker, and what we're going to be able to do when I open this up is we're going to be able to just gently, there we go, tear this along the line. Ah, perfect. Okay, can you see how that has made myself a nice straight edge, and I'm left here with a perfect square. Okay, on to the next bit. That piece of paper I can get rid of. Now, I am going to warn you at this point, we will need to do this 2 times, okay? You are going to need to make 2 squares like this and do this whole process twice, because we are going to be making pieces in our next video, and you'll understand why they need to be done twice to make the pieces. But let's focus on the board today. Right, I've got my square. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to fold it in half. So making sure at each stage here we are not rushing, that we are being as careful as possible. I do have little bits of paper here, but you know what? I can just get a little bit of scissor, or I can just get rid of those little edges, so it's absolutely fine. Right, now I've got that and I've lined that up perfectly. I'm going to just straighten along there. I'm going to just check, making sure that those corners are absolutely lined up, and yes it is. Right, take your time. Pause the video at any point, okay, to get this done. Right, now I've done this, I'm going to fold in half again. Okay, so I'll fold a half again, and you can see it each time I've now got a square. Okay, and I'm actually going to fold in half again, and being very careful to line it up, okay, making sure that it is done as accurately and carefully as possible. So I've got a rectangle now, and I'm going to fold again, and here we go, I've got my last square. Now, I'm going to stop at this point. I'm going to open it up. Now you'll realise that I don't really have my full chessboard. This is a 4x4 board, not an 8x8 board. I can't really carry on folding after I've folded it that many times, but I can do something different. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my bottom corner and I'm going to fold it up to the first line. Okay? So I take that bottom and I fold it up to that first line, being as slow and careful as possible. Okay? I'm going to then do the same at the other side. I'm going to take the bottom corner and fold it up to that first line. Again, taking my time. There is no point rushing any of this. Okay, there we go. Now, it looks like this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bend those backwards. So along those lines, bend it backwards. Same with this one, along that line. I'm going to just bend it backwards. Being very careful to make sure that I've lined everything up. Okay, now I should be left with this. Can you see that those have been bent around to the back? And what I'm going to now do is once again fold into the line. So very carefully folding that into the line, and the same thing over here, folding that into the line. Okay, so it's going to end up looking like this. You're going to make sure it's as straight as possible. Alright, what we're going to now do is we are going to do the same thing. We're going to fold, we're going to open it up and we'll do the same thing the other way. So we're going to fold this bottom. So can you see I've got my lots of squares now, but these are actually rectangles, so I'm going to need to do the same thing but the other way. So folding up again to the line, okay, like that. Back on the other side, fold up again to the line, being as straight as possible. Okay, bend these two back so that they're on the back side. There we go, bending to the back. So now I've got this piece of paper looking like this. I've done the exact same thing again. You'll see why. Fold it into the middle, and finally folding it into the middle. Do not rush any of these stages. I'm going a little bit quick. You need to make sure that yours is as accurate as possible. Now when I open it up, beautiful. You will spot that I have got 8 squares up at the top, 8 squares along here. Okay, now it's really important to not just make one. You do need to have 2 of these available. The second one, we're going to be making all the pieces inside it so that they are the right size for our board. Now there's one thing missing, of course, which is that it is not being coloured in. So all you need to do is colour in alternate squares. I used a felt tip pen because I had one. You could use a pencil, and there we go. We have got our board. If you wanted, you could stick it onto another piece of paper just to secure it a little bit, make it a little bit stronger with a bit of glue, stick it on, or stick it onto some colour card, absolutely fine. So that is the way you could make a chessboard without using a ruler.